Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate. Yes, folks, we are back after a 1-week hiatus. We took a little bit of a break just because it was a holiday and we couldn't get everybody's schedules to align together. Tonight, we are going to be doing episode 58, Planning Phase Syndicate Showdown, along with XTC recap and a recap of Tanner's weekend, because I played in like a little local tournament as well. And to kind of go through that. Tonight, we are proud to present our inaugural showdown that we had last week and aired right on our beloved GSP. Dion flew down, JJ wined and dined him, hopefully, and we had a great turnout at the local FLGS store. Unfortunately, Crispy wasn't able to make it to actually take the reigning title, so there's that. But it opened up the door for our first actual Planning Phase Syndicate champion. Without further ado, let me bring in everybody into the room. Welcome, JJ. Welcome, Crispy. And welcome, George. How are you all doing tonight?
Doing all right.
I'm doing great.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Very excited to have everybody on board this week. We are going to have a great show coming up here for you all tonight. First off, let's go through real quick and kind of just everybody just give a rundown of who they are, because we have two new people joining. Crispy's kind of a regular, but not really. And we were off for a couple weeks, so, you know.
Yeah. Go ahead, guys.
Go ahead, Crispy.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Chris Patrick. A lot of people know me as Crispy. I've been doing a lot of online events recently. On generally a local of Orlando. I go to UCF, so that's my college store. I play with JJ a lot down there. I'm very sad that he's going to be leaving me here soon to wherever he's off to. North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fun stuff. But in the meantime, I've just been doing my business in First Order in a couple online events, and I'm sure you've heard my name by now.
All right. And also joining us tonight is George, and I'm going to probably butcher his name, Barrios, Jesus. Our first Planning Phase Syndicate Showdown champion. How are you tonight, sir?
Doing great. Feeling better than ever, really. Thank you for having me again. I'm from the Orlando area in Florida, and yeah, I don't do any online stuff or any games myself online. I just stick to the local area and try to lead the local friendly game store there, basically.
Well, awesome. Well, it's good to have you. JJ, welcome back. So I want to go through, I got a fun little event that we're going to do before we get into anything else tonight. But I want to go through just kind of quick heads up announcements just for some upcoming tournaments. So next weekend, if you have not signed up, GSP is holding Malachor Galactic Championship online on the 16th. That is a Western European time zone. So I think for me and JJ, it's like 4 or 5 a.m., something crazy like that. But if you have not signed up for that looks to be like a good event. And if you are looking for to pick up your Galactic invite, that is the time. The next one is on the 23rd in Texas is the Lone Star Open. I see there's 39 people that have already registered. If you are in the Texas area or would like to travel to the Texas area, the Lone Star Open is going to be having a tournament down there as well. Gen Con will be 2 weeks after that, August 4th through the 6th. I will be going. I've officially gotten my ticket. I am playing Friday, so if Crispy, if you go, you cannot play on Friday. But or you can't play your list, one of the two. I don't know. But either which way, me and a couple of the local guys are playing on Friday. I couldn't get in on Thursday because my wife's birthday is Wednesday, and I don't feel like getting up in Michigan at 4 a.m. to drive 5 hours to then play in a tournament. Doesn't sound like much fun to me. But we will be down there. If you want to stop by and say hi, you're welcome to tag us right into the Discord. I know we have some plans tentative with Mr. Nickel City, who's coming in. I think him and Axel Prime are going to be rooming together, because Greg and I was talking a little bit about that last week as well. And then we have a new announcement. If you are in the Ohio area, this is a December 10th. This is 90% solidified. There is a Outrider team tournament that will be done similar to how XTC was done, with probably a little bit smaller of a group of either 4 to 5 people per team as well. But that will be going on in, I think, North Olmsted, and I will be attending that as well. Unless we get a bunch of people from my local and we don't have enough to make 2 teams, then I have volunteered to just go and maybe stream it. But
Yeah.
we'll
That'd
see
be awesome, man.
about that. So, all right. Well, we all know what a couple of you did this weekend, so let's get into it. Before we talk about the planning phase Syndicate Showdown, right? Because I'm very excited to talk about that tonight, especially because our champion won with the best faction ever, it seems. And finally, Separatists are getting their day in the sun. Thank God. But before we go into that, so this is a semi-spoiler alert in case you aren't watching anything Obi-Wan or the show. What I wanted to do is kind of do a little small segment where we talk about combo abilities, right? Because think about it this way. When we have Anakin and Obi-Wan combo abilities already, they exist. But what if there was Obi-Wan and Vader combo abilities? Whether they're positive, negative, doesn't matter. So I'll go ahead and go first. But what I want you all to do, and we are gonna go around the room, is I want you to come up with kind of a idea of what a great combo would be. That way, because again, we live in scenario world, right? Maybe AMG somehow listens to our show and we get they decided to make a small scenario pack where you have to face these 2 off, right? So I'll go first. The interactive combo between Vader, and we're going to say X1 Vader, because I'm going to leave the Defender Vader out because I think that complicates things way too much. And what it is going to be is we're going to have a reactive combo, right? So when Vader uses his force to take a second action, right? Obi-Wan has the ability to spend a force to copy that action on his bar as well. And what they will do is filter into the queue simultaneously. So, for example, Vader does his move. Obi-Wan hasn't done a barrel roll. Vader does a barrel roll. Obi-Wan has the ability then to do a barrel roll. Since he's already done one, he can't do one. So then what it would happen is Obi-Wan just would not get to take that extra action. But if Vader does, let's just say, a target lock, Obi-Wan, who has not taken a target lock, has the ability to spend a force and take a target lock on whomever.
I like that ability. I think that it's something like that could be worked out, especially if they use particular subtitles for Obi-Wan to react to Vader on the Empire. So that way, if they ever come out with other iterations of Vader on different ships, they can use that subtitle to affect that particular Obi-Wan across the board and vice versa across the board. I think that's pretty cool.
All right, who wants to be next?
I'll take a shot at this. I think. See, my initial guess was, my initial thought was kind of going down where your line, where it's like after. Well, it was more of after the other ship spends a force, you can do something. Although I'm thinking back, like spoilers, I think we've already mentioned about talking about the show, where they're like, putting basically all of their force into one attack and all of the force into the other, where one ship can spend a force to prevent the other ship from spending the force, and they can both do it at the same time. So if Vader really wants that extra action, he's going to spend that force, and then Obi-Wan can spend a force of his own to cancel that unless Vader spends another force of its own. So it's a drain. Like, you're putting all your force into this. Who wants that action more? Who wants that force more?
Yeah, I like it.
Where it's like, like Obi-Wan wants to spend his force to get his focus back or whatever his ability is. But Vader, if he's got a force left, he can tell no. And if Obi-Wan's just like, all right, I'll take it. I don't need to spend extra force on this. We're fine here. Then they can keep playing. So it's more of a resources battle of, who really wants that extra ability more, and do you have the resources just to push it through your opponent?
Cool.
I like that.
it. Yeah. Who's next?
I'm gonna bow out of this one. I do not have the brain capacity to think about
What?
Oh, come on.
So I got one. So this one is kind of stemming out of an old 1.0 card that we used to have called a score to settle, which was a condition card that you assign to another ship at the start of the game. And essentially, whenever you attack that ship or that ship attacks you, you're able to convert one focus into a hit result. But that only works against that particular ship. And the purpose of that card was to just make sure that you and that ship just have that benefit of like on offense whenever you're facing off each other. So it kind of makes like a little bit of a duel inside of the game. So I think that's something that could work similarly in this type of interaction. It's just giving that passive mod against that person because they want to defeat that person and overcome them. I think that's a nice little flavor text for the game.
Yeah,
Awesome.
cool.
Well, anyway, I thought that was a little kind of icebreaker type thing. I enjoy it. It seemed I like to do those little things, and I think again, if we could get enough, maybe we should get Greg in on this, right? Get Greg in on this piece. We could get some like cards made, and like we could make our own scenario pack. There you go. Yeah. I didn't wear my hat either.
Yeah.
Now I kind of feel left out. We have one ugly hat and one cool hat, so.
Planning phase card pack.
Yeah, penalty phase Syndicate card pack. That's what I say. That's easy. Ban Greg. No, Velvet Booty. You can't ban Greg. You have to. If you do exclamation point Greg though.
Greg was right. He created that extra emote actually recently. That was freaking hilarious. It was great.
Yeah. So anyway, so let's talk about the tournament and what I want to do is I want to focus a little bit on George, kind of a little bit of your background, all of that type of fun stuff, because you were our first place winner. And it's funny, and this is where I'm gonna have to ask the question. We have 2 4-0 lists that made it, and you didn't make them stay and do a playoff on stream, JJ. What the hell?
I was overruled, unfortunately. I wanted to push for the 5th round. Unfortunately, there was a lot of people that it was already getting late, and the store closing hours were getting to that point. So we unfortunately for time we had to cut it down by 1 round. So,
but that's okay.
Yeah.
That just means CIS was guaranteed to be on top, baby. So
I mean, that's not to say that I can't maybe arrange for a face-off between the top 2. Maybe.
Rigged.
That could be a nice Wednesday night one day. Maybe if we could arrange that.
Yeah, it could be.
George is like, no, I'm going to keep my damn trophy.
Hey. At the end of the day, I'm just glad I ended up where I did. We did joke about it. I think I don't recall his name, but he was like, "Hey, let's play it out. Let's play it out." And I'm like, "I thought there was only 4 rounds. I'm good." It was a long day. I did wake up early just to get there, and just
yeah.
In a day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm cut out for this anymore. To be honest. These
No. You've reached the top. Retire. On a go off on a high note. You're fine. You'll be beloved in Orlando for the rest of time. We will remember your name.
I mean, as part of Bearded Squadron, you've represented your squad very, very well, taking that trophy for the team. I mean, hey, you played a hell of a game. The game that we got you on stream, which was game number 2, I believe, you played fantastically, and you just capitalized on your enemy's mistakes and just took it, just shut them down, and made sure that you got that win. Well played, man.
Thank you. It was a great game overall. Can't remember his first name. I remember his last name, Underwood. Super friendly guy. I got to give him credit for keeping his head in the game, because he did make a few mistakes in the beginning that I don't want to say cost him, but like definitely shifted the game in my favor. And I think if it was anybody else, I don't know how they would have handled it. He handled it like a champ.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Now,
good.
during the tournament when you were playing, did you feel there was any particular list that your particular list had any trouble against, or like did you like find difficulty like adjusting?
Um, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm pretty new at playing that list in particular, so I was a little bit worried about everybody that I played up against. That was actually one of the ones that I was worried about because he just had the numbers over me. Um, what mattered the most throughout the day, though, I think, was the objective and how they were played. Because a lot of my games came down to like they were really close games and they were very back and forth. So it really just it came down to those objectives at the end of the day for the rest of my games.
Yeah, nice. Let's. Do you have a copy of his list so that way we can take a look at it?
Yeah, I do. Yep. Let me transition to that. All right. So there's a picture of him, and we'll do his list just a second. There's a picture of him holding the trophy. We're gonna get it framed. I think JJ can get
Oh
it
yeah.
framed.
Quick shout out to Andrew Lippens, also known as Yellow Jacket Pim. He did phenomenal work. I can mission this particular trophy to be done. I actually was like concerned for a bit that this wasn't going to come out on time, but he got to be like the night before and just send me these pictures of the trophy. Beautiful art on that YV666, even getting our logo on top of it. Thank you. Big shout out to Pim for that. He does have an Etsy store. He does do paints for like all these miniatures. So if you haven't checked out his store, big shout out to him. Yeah, there we go. That's it. That is such an awesome ship, and big thanks to Andrew for making that commission work for us. It was fantastic.
Yeah. I do really like it. There's another different kind of angle with JJ not wearing his shitty hat. With all the candy. I don't know how you guys didn't eat all that candy that was just sitting behind you.
Because it was not free.
So you're not broke.
I mean, come on, just like stretch. There you go. That's it. Come on. They know you. They're fine. The store's doing all right. They're doing great.
Yep, and this is actually the list I thought you would have struggled the most with when the one that they actually streamed against Dennis Underwood, which is probably I think the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
This one I would have. Yeah, again, there's no Vader in this list, but this one just felt like when I was going through your history, like holy crap, this would be. These are like. Well, I play Seps all the time, and TIE fighters are the antithesis of Separatist ships. That's what I feel. They almost. I never win to them.
So can you break down your list for us, George?
Yeah, let me let me get it out here.
No worries.
It's not. I mean, it isn't anything new. I think this list was actually played in what was it? If I remember correctly, it was the World Open qualifier at the UK Games Expo. Is what it was called.
Okay.
It was a list used by an Edward Moreland. So it's just a list that I kind of picked out of there. I didn't actually watch that. I don't know if they streamed it or whatever. But I usually just pay attention to sports lists. And it was a list that kind of grabbed my eye. And at the time, nobody here locally plays any Separatists. So that was another enticing thing about it. It was like, well, nobody here plays it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it and see what I can do with it. And I've been just practicing the last couple of league nights at the local gaming store and been liking it so far. All it is it's Django Fett, Grievous, a bomber drone, and then DFS 081, and then Separatist drone. So they're the two little drones are set up with Discord missiles and independent calculations, and I think those pieces were so valuable to this list throughout the whole entire day. Just throwing out those Discord missiles and setting up just everything else for me. The bomber he was set up with proximity mines, delayed fuses, landing struts, of course. Django Fett with Lone Wolf, Savage Oppress, thermal detonators, false transponder codes, delayed fuses, the title Slave 1, and then veteran tail gunner, and then Grievous with the sick outmaneuver and impervium planing Soulless 1. General Grievous is really tough.
So
yeah, absolutely.
I have I had two questions for you about your list. So the first question I have has to go with the bomber, right? Did you ever get a proxy mine out the front ever?
Yeah, in a couple of games, yeah, they were out the front.
Okay. Because that's always, I've always had a conflict of interest, right? Like, I love those bombers, and when you could run the cluster mines and counter nets on them, they were really good. Like, it was sad because you couldn't pair a lot of stuff with it, but I was running 3 of those things together. But what I found with the, like with these, right, and that's why I asked the question if you got it out the front, is a lot of people will use it and just try to cannon fodder that thing off the board because nobody wants to take a proxy mine when they have to confront you range 1 or whatever. So were you just sitting on a rock most of the time with those, or do you use them as you kind of fly around the edges and kind of bring them in on the side and kind of flank them? So if everybody goes into them, the rest of your ships can shoot them and kill them. And if nobody goes into them, then you're dropping a proxy mine range 1 at the start of the turn.
So general setup is I set up, and again, I didn't watch the Expo, like Great Britain, so I didn't know how he played it at all. And so I kind of had to learn this on my own and through practice. So, but the general setup with Django that I have and Grievous are on opposite ends. And then I have the 2 little droids, drones in the center with the bomber in the center as well. So that they fly up the middle usually. And depending on, where my opponent is going, I try to keep the bomber back and let him be the last person in the battle, so that by the time he gets to the fight, usually my opponent's already shooting at different ships and doesn't just blow that thing out of the water. So that's my approach. So I wait a couple of rounds before he actually gets in there and starts landing those mines.
Cool. The other question I had about your Django, right? So obviously, because you have Lone Wolf, you can't have Count Dooku on there. Count Dooku will not fit. I mean, I guess it could fit if you dropped a bunch of stuff, but Dooku doesn't fit as easy as he used to anymore. So the question is, have you found having Savage Opress and Lone Wolf, did Lone Wolf trigger, like most rounds with Django, or is it there for the 1 or 2 times that you have him by himself?
It's there generally, but for the 1 or 2 times. Because he is kind of in the mix of it all, generally. But it's one of those things you kind of you are glad you have it when you do have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Passive bonds is always great on the fire spray. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it goes to show, when you look at Charles's list, right? He didn't have the Lone Wolf. He uses Maul, right? He doesn't put Lone Wolf on there. And in a couple of occasions, Lone Wolf would have benefited him in that list that he ran.
Yeah.
But again, hindsight's 2020, right? Like Lone Wolf also, especially when you have too many ships, does not trigger. It just does not all the time. So, well, cool. That is a very awesome list. Did anybody else have any questions for George?
Yeah. So, in your list, typically, at least from what I saw on your stream game, it does seem like you set up Grievous and Django on opposite ends of each other. Are they meant to be like the ship killers in your list, while the rest of the droids are meant to be like your objective grabbers in that list?
In ideal scenarios, that's how I would like it. You kind of give the opponent the opportunity to choose, which one you want to go after. If they go after the center pieces, my little drones, then that's kind of preferred scenario, because then it leaves my 2 strongest ships perfect condition by the end of the game. But if they decide to go after Grievous or Django, then I have to make the decision of like, okay, how long do I keep them in the fight and how do I protect them? And then while my other guys are capturing objectives,
right,
and pinging away at them essentially.
Nice.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you bother or at least even care for testing out Cad Bane? Because Cad Bane is another one of those CIS pieces that we're seeing a lot of people play now that the rogue class is out. He's also 5 points, so he's interchangeable with Grievous, and you could easily drop like your bomber and one of your vultures for Cad. And I know a lot of people have been flying Django, Cad, Grievous, and a vulture. So did you ever test out Cad Bane, or did you try him and just not like him?
No, I haven't. I just don't have them. Again, I'm a new CIS initiate, so I'm slowly building up the collection. So I haven't tried them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Nice.
Hopefully, with your winnings, you can get yourself a Cad Bane. Then look at that.
Hey, yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, I think that's. I like this take on the list. This is similar outside of the Lone Wolf thing. This is kind of similar to what I have been running. I've been running what Crispy was saying with the Cad Bane in it, and unless if you watch the Nickel City stream that I was on, and Z95's one-shotted my Cad Bane, there you go. That in this case, this probably works better because you can't. If you one shot them, it's not as impactful. I don't think as losing Cad Bane, because Cad Bane is the really important piece to lose in that list. But all right, so let's move on to our runner up. Was Curtis. I don't know how to say the last name, so JJ, you can take this as SWAT.
Yeah, Curtis Bedovich, running the Rebel Alliance here. He has Leia Organa in the White T 1300 with Shattering Shot, Bistan, Base Malbus, Ursa Wren, Electronic Baffle, and the Millennium Falcon title. Saul Guerrero with Notorious, Jin Ursul, The Child, False Transponder Codes, and Pivot Wing. Colby Sperato with Predator, R4 Astromech, Over2 Modulators, and Servo Motor S-Foils, and then Arvel with Predator, Crackshot, and Vectored Cannons. It's a really interesting twist on the Rebel list that we've become accustomed to see. Normally, we tend to see Lando filling that role, but Leia with Shattering Shot and Bistan, really good, and Ursa Wren, of course, providing that free target lock if you shoot at her. That's a nice little combo there, and the best part of it is that she always has that passive force to help her mod there as well. The other change that we see here is Colby with Over2 Modulators instead of Contraband Cybernetics. I think that makes him a little more survivable, just giving him those 3 calculates if he's not stressed, and that helps him get into the scrum and possibly tank a few more shots than usual. And then Arvel is a very underrated A-Wing. We tend to see a lot other ships other than Arvel, but having that Predator crack shot combo, you can still bump a ship at range 1, treat it like a range 1 shot. You get your full mods for your focus, your Predator, and then you get to crack shot somebody because you can treat that range 0 shot as a range 1, and you can punch in some damage there. So Arvel is a very, very nice piece in this list.
Does Arvel get the ability when they shoot back at you? Is it range 0 or range 1?
Yes. Arvel is the one that can treat the shot at range 1. The opponent cannot do that. They still treat it as range 0. Yep. So that's good.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen more Arvel play, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, can you imagine if Intimidation was there?
Oh, right, exactly.
Scary.
Nickel City X-Wing. Who's on my team? Velvet Buddha. How are we going to get somebody to run Arvel with Intimidation? That's what I want to see this week. Are we playing Team Havoc this week or no?
No, we have Team Fox.
We got Team Fox.
Okay.
And we got a hell of a matchup. We got Crispy versus Catherine on that matchup. That's going to be a highlight match right there, man.
Yeah, it's First Order versus Empire for, I believe it is Salvage. So it should be a really good match.
All right. So the next list is Brian Shaw. Does anybody want to take it?
Yeah, actually, Jake's my friend, so I'll take the next one. Someone else can take Brian.
George, you want to lead the next list off, or do you want us to?
Yeah, go for it because I actually don't have the list up.
Sure.
Okay.
No worries. This one is Galactic Republicus. There we have Hound with the Lats. He has Concussion Missiles, Quirky Krees, Wolfpack, 7th Fleet Gunner, and Synchronized Console. Jag with Enduring, 7th Fleet Gunner, and Synchronized Console. Wolf in the Arc 170 with 7th Fleet Gunner, R7A7, and a Synchronized Console. And Dan Enduring with 7th Fleet Gunner and Synchronized Console. He was actually on our stream for round 1 playing against Kayla. That was actually a really close match, but man, this is a ton of health. The interesting synergy with this one is Jag. Jag, I think, is the key part of this particular piece here because the way he flew it, Jag was always having his friendlies next to him on the sides, even when he was going on the diagonal. So if you decide to either attack the Lat, which was leading the way, or try to go after Wolf, which was further down, Jag would be in range to get a free target lock on that attacker. And then when it came time for him to engage, he had that double mod on him. And if you decided to attack him, he had Enduring, which would give him the red focus. And still be able to shoot mods and have the Lat provide them the rerolls, and then those 7th Fleet Gunners boosting their attack dice to 4. They were basically all proton torpedo shots, almost basically. So it was very, very strong. He did get that initial one in the beginning, and it was really strong. It was good.
So I got a quick question for George. Do you fly any? What is your main faction if you're just getting into CIS?
Rebels.
Rebels?
Yeah.
So you and JJ are little buddies there, huh?
I play everything, bro. I play everything.
Well, that's what I have the most of. That's when I first started playing X-Wing before 2.0. So 1.0, all my 1.0 stuff got converted, and yeah, I've just been playing Rebels. But lately, I've just kind of been burnt out of them and just looking for something new, basically.
Well, welcome to Seppies. All right, let's go to the next one. I will say for that list, I like that synchronized console on that. I really do genuinely enjoy that piece of it. So,
to kind of add, my final match was with Brian, and it was it was another one of those that was really close, and it came down to the last round because we were both pretty much, I want to say, well, close enough. It was like 14-10 on the last round, but I think that's a pretty interesting list. He flew it very well and definitely deserved to be up in the top the way that he was, flying them together. And just, I think there's just way too much going on with like remembering triggers and things like that. That by the end of the day, I think it was like taking a toll on him and he was starting to forget some things. And it was just, a rough one there for him.
Yeah, it makes sense. There is a ton of triggers on those Republic lists.
Yeah.
I do like seeing 3 arcs though. I mean, that's a cool variation, I think. And we talk about like, is the meta solved? Is the meta not solved? Blah, 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 blah. There isn't really a piece outside of that Lat. And even his Lat has a very unique upgrade on it that we've not seen hit Top Cut at all. So, all right, Crispy, you want the next one?
Yeah, so this is Jake Costello, one of my boys from Viper Squadron. Very happy that he made top 4. He is flying the Empire. He's got the dreaded Vader Defender with Malice, Juke, and Heavy Laser Cannon. He has a pair of ISB Jingoists with Deadman Switch. He has Wampa with Disciplined. And then to round out his list, he has Duchess with Trick Shot, Elusive, Skill Bombardier, Proximity Mines, and Targeting Computer. So very fun, very offensive list for just a 5-ship Empire list. You've got Vader in there, but you don't have your traditional TIE swarm with Iden and a bunch of TIEs. You have Duchess in there instead. With a whole bunch of nasty stuff with the targeting computer, so you can't really afford to leave her alone. And then she has these Skill Bombardier Proximity Mines. Who knew that putting Skill Bombardier on someone with Proximity Mines will actually land you a ton of really well-placed mines? So this is a scary list. He actually played me. I I think last Thursday in our store, and he almost beat me. Like he was just about a turn away from beating me. So he's a very good pilot. He knows this list, and I'm very happy to see him go 3-1 and take top 4.
Yeah, I think the weird thing on there is that discipline on Wampa. I mean, I get it. I understand why people do it, but like I don't know. That's not the the one I put on there. But
I mean, so what would you put then?
I usually put elusive on Wampa. I like my elusive on Wampa better. Just so that it forces you. The goal is to keep Wampa around as long as possible. Because everyone wants to shoot him, because if otherwise he gets 3 dice. He's like the 3 dice TIE fighter that you have to shoot at. So it's like a force shot. So give me my elusive, and then I'm just gonna cage earn the next round if I can behind you and re-trigger that elusive. So,
well, you can afford to put like 1 shot a turn into Wampa. You don't need to necessarily take him off the board. Those jingoists will be in your face, and they will be a problem. And you don't even want to deal with them because they've got those dead man switch. I mean, those jingoists for 2 points are insane value.
Yeah, they're going to go.
They're everywhere. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They're not going to keep those at 2 points any longer. I guarantee that one. Which is fine. I think at 3 points, I would still fly them, personally. I still think the value in them. I actually flew against a jingoist list this weekend, too. And they're a pain in the ass, because if you don't shoot them and take them off the board, they're constantly giving you stupid freaking strain every time. Every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. The next list is Dennis Underwood, also running a Galactic Empire list with Nashwin Rider, homing missiles, targeting computer, and sensitive control. Captain Faroff with the child and discipline. Commander Gorot with a shield upgrade, sensitive controls. Wampa with Predator. Pir Sabak with disciplined, skilled bombardier, and seismics, and then a black ace with disciplined.
Yeah, so he was actually the opponent for George on the stream there. Definitely a really interesting list. Very similar to the one that we saw above in terms of having those extra ties and a striker to help it out. I did like the inclusion of having Faroff with the child's Faroff's ability, giving him that evade all the time, basically. So it does give him that passive force that he can use on offense when he needs it. And if he takes a shot back, he's going to end up getting the force back with the child if he takes damage, and he's also going to get that free evade all the time. And if they take a target lock on him, he's still okay. He's got the rest of the ships on his list that can do some pretty good work on there. Goron and Nashwin Rider, a great combo, and those TIE interceptors, they can keep everybody else alive and give out tokens whenever you need to. And it's a very strong list, I would say. On the game on stream that he had against George, he did have a few unfortunate bumps that did kind of mess him up in the beginning. But if he didn't have that, I think it would have been a much more difficult game for George to start off. Yeah.
And were some of those bumps due to in-person play rather than like our precision engine on TTS? Right? Because
I would say that. Yep.
Yeah.
Because you just like that in TTS you can match your ties up to be exact, right? But on the table that's almost impossible to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was close too. It was very, very close. When he was trying to, get the fit in the ship there without bumping, I thought he had it, but apparently, just a little nub made a difference.
Yeah, and I think too it's just like because as I remember when he started off your game, right? Like he had some of the TIE interceptors facing down, like facing vertically instead of horizontally, and then he would turn them in so that way they can kind of give space for everybody else to get in front. But that he just didn't measure it enough, and that's what caused those bumps. So yeah.
Yep, and that was so this weekend when I played as well, I played against a semi-tie sworn similar to that, right? They had Nash and Goron, and then a bunch of TIE fighters instead. And once you get one bump on a TIE fighter, you get bumps on all of them. And there's more damage.
Yeah.
The person did more damage to themselves than I had to the TIEs. So for some of them, it's like, oh, I don't want to shoot Aiden because Aiden's got that stupid, Aiden ability, and she's gonna use it on somebody. And oh, you just took damage. You can't change that. Like, so
To my knowledge, he only caused 1 damage to himself in the bumps, right?
that's great
Yeah.
for him then.
Yeah, he had like 5 bumps and rolled like 4 blanks. Like I was like, wow, okay. So yeah.
All right. The next one is Ryan Milkman Costello, and is that Jake's brother?
That is Jake's twin brother. They are 2 peas in a pod. Milkman is one of my best friends. Jake and Ryan, I both met in scouting, and then I brought both of them into X-Wing. So
Nice.
Honestly, great pair of dudes. I've known them for probably 7 years. Yeah, some of my best friends, honestly. Wow. But yeah, so the list that is up on screen is not the list that he ended up running for the event, because the combo that he told me about did not actually work the way that was intended. So, as you can see, Hawk has Swarm Tactics, Ghost Company, Bo-Katan, and Clone Commander Cody. Anakin in the Y-Wing has Heightened Perception, Ion Cannon Turret, Proton Torpedoes, R4 Astromech, and Synchronized Console. Oddball has Ion Cannon Turret, Plasma Torpedoes, R4 Astromech, and Synchronized Console. And then Shock T has Heightened Perception, Patience, Swarm Tactics, Ion Cannon, and R4P. So what happened was Milkman assumed that when Heightened Perception makes you engage at I-7, that your initiative is treated as 7. So the plan was Shock T uses Heightened Perception to go up to 7, then uses Swarm Tactics to pass that 7 to Hawk, who then used Swarm Tactics to pass that 7 to Oddball, and then Anakin goes up to 7 himself, so all 4 of his ships could supposedly engage at I-7 and take an ace or any ship off the board. However, engaging at I-7 is not the same as having your initiative as I-7, so he quickly messed around with his cards before the tournament. Swarm Tactics on Hawk became Enduring, and Swarm Tactics on Shock T became Crack Shot. Everything else stayed the same. It wasn't as effective, but Hawk being able to double tap with Ghost Company and then use Clone Commander Cody to pass out strains still helped Shock T's Ion Cannon later in the round. And then the Y-Wings are just there to use their Ion Cannon turret, use their torpedoes, and his final game was on stream, a nail biter. Honestly, I was very impressed. He took down a very impressive Vader Defender plus TIE Swarm, and I mean, this is a great list, even if it didn't work exactly as he intended to. Walking into the store, he still made a great effort, and I believe he went 3-1. So very happy for him.
And just to kind of commentate on that a bit, because it was he did ask about it at the beginning of the tournament, and Andrew did inform him of the interaction didn't work the way that he wanted to, so I did allow him to change his list right there at the tournament there. At the end of the final round there, the players tied, and because of the way we had the tournament set up, I did make the decision as a TO that I would not allow a tie to happen. So I had both players do a road roll, which I felt was the most fairest. So that way we can determine a winner between the two at the end there. Ryan did end up winning that road roll and gave him the victory at the end there. But both players in that final match, both Michael and Ryan, that was a very intense match. It went back and forth right into the end. It was a great finale for that tournament.
Awesome. All right, let's go on to Ben Shoop is the next one. And it is a Rebel list with Dutch Teflons and Proton torpedoes in the Y-Wing. Luke with the S-foils, Instinctive Aim, Debris Gambit, Protons R4. Then Thane Kyle with Protons in R4. And Garvin Dreas with Protons R4 and Predator. And I believe Ben is... I guess I don't know. Is Bearded Squadron a podcast or is it like a local X-wing group? But I believe this is your teammate, correct?
Yeah. So we're a local. We consider ourselves a local team. So yeah, that's basically it. We don't have a podcast or anything like that. Just practice and do league nights and all that. Which credit to these guys, by the way. They're the reasons why I got to where I was with all the practice that they've allowed me to do.
So you want to, George? You want to break down, Ben's list and kind of talk a little bit about it, since you probably have a little bit more intimate knowledge. 4 proton torpedoes seems pretty aggressive list.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? When you got Dutch giving away some free target locks as well, it's just natural. I think this is pretty kind of self-explanatory with the sharing of abilities, really. Target locks passing, and then Garvin with his ability as well with the focus. So
cool,
it's pretty strong.
Yeah, the only thing I would ask is there a reason with Dutch and the protons? Like, I like proton torpedoes, but I guess it's just to finish everything off, right? I guess that's just what it is. It just sucks because you don't get the R4 or R3 astromech anymore with Dutch. You used to be able to put R3 and protons on Dutch, and it would just be the best thing ever. But they don't like that anymore.
I am interested to see if how often he was able to trigger Thane's ability to spend a focus result, like if he happened to just re-roll and have no focus mods, if he just spent like a focus result to flip a damage card on an opponent, and if it was like good enough to like trigger direct hit or like a structural damage, for instance, and see if how effective that was in this list.
That is a good question. I'll ask him.
Yeah.
All right, our last list is Kenny Fitcher in the Rebel Alliance. Who wants it? JJ, I'm giving it to you.
I'll take it. Yeah, so another Rebel Alliance list here. We have Wedge Antilles here with the foils, Trick Shot, Elusive, and Proton Torpedoes. Colby Sperato with R4, Contraband Cybernetics, and Hopeful. Luke Skywalker with R3, Shattering Shot, Trick Shot, and Proton Torpedoes. And Lee Van Tenza making an appearance here with R4 Astromech, Contraband Cybernetics, and Hopeful. And if I'm not mistaken, Lee Van Tenza is the boosty X-Wing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
I believe Colby does the foil flipping, and Levan gets an evade for doing something.
Yeah, get the evade for the boost or barrel roll. That's right.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like this list. I mean, it's kind of cool to see 4 X-Wings in a list, right? I mean, it really is nice to see 4 X-Wings in a list. It would not be possible except for AMG said, hey, Luke's no longer 7 points anymore.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, you got a couple of those named ones at 4, so now you're running 4 named X-Wings rather than trying to, shove a Cavern Angel Zealot in there in order to squeeze Luke or another pilot in there. You're getting 4 pilots that you can call out and you can rely on.
Yeah, and I like that. If we are going to do this, I really do like being able to have the 4 names in there, personally. Because wasn't John running 4 Cavern Zealots and Nora Wexley for a while?
He was, yeah.
In the Y-Wing? Or the...
No, in the Y-Wing, yes.
Y-Wing Nora, yeah.
Y-Wing Nora with, I don't know if he had an ion cannon or a dorsal turret most of the time. And then he had, was it Watchful Astromech that was on there? It's
Yeah.
like if you went after Nora instead of the Cavern Angels, like she lived forever. And that's that Y-Wing. She just never dies. And then if you went after the Cavern Angels, Nora's just shooting you with her ion cannon. It's like, oh, hey, who doesn't want to move next round?
Yeah, exactly.
That was 1.0 or 2.0 days, so not current list. So all right, so let's before we move on to something else. What is everybody's feeling about the tournament? Pros, cons. Was there something that could have been done better? And don't be afraid to share, because anybody that wears the Giants hat has had to at least make one or two mistakes this weekend. I guarantee it. But George, so you're our first winner officially. Like, you get to be like, if we ever get a web page, your face is going on like the public display web page of the first official tournament winner for PPS. So how does that make you feel?
I'm making history here, baby. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
No, it feels great. My biggest takeaway from the weekend is that everybody, so many faces that I hadn't seen in a long time, obviously because of the whole COVID thing that happened. Stores just began to slow down to hold like barely any events, if any. So we're very fortunate to have just such a great community, all gathered in Central Florida from different parts, the West Coast, up north, down south as well. And what I really like is just all the different teams coming all at once. We had Viper Squadron there, just kind of teaming up. The Space Coast X-Wing group, Bearded, of course. And it's just great seeing just everybody just having a friendly competition with one another and rooting for their teammates as well.
Awesome. Well, big shout out to JJ. Thank you for putting all the effort into putting this on for our first tournament, even though you couldn't seem to get enough money to get me down there to make fun of you on air.
Yeah, no worries. It was definitely a great event. Big thank you actually to George. He I can't praise him enough. He actually helped me get this tournament started. He was a big help for me starting off in the beginning to set relationships with the store, kind of give me a good idea how to set up this particular event, and helping me out with getting a lot of the stuff, the orders in that we needed for like the OP kit that we used. And then just organizing a lot of the locals to help bring in mats. That was very, very much appreciated to everybody who did bring in mats, to make sure that everybody had a mat to play on when we were playing during the event. That was very huge. Had a lot of players come in early before the registration started to put the tables together. Although FLGS, I got to give it to them. They did a phenomenal job of cleaning up the area and giving us a set space for us to play that event, and still leaving a bunch of tables open for anybody who wanted to come in and run their own games on the side. That was a big shout out to them. They did a phenomenal job of preparing the store for us. And then also Dion from Gold Squadron, a special note for him. I gotta say, I have a new level of respect for anybody who does any type of in-person streaming. It is not easy at all to do what he does. Just the amount of equipment that man has to lug around and set up and like calibrate constantly, that is not easy what he does. And the fact that he was able to come down and stream our event, definitely feel very humbled that he was able to do that for us. And we had a great time there at the store. Just mirroring what George said, there was a lot of people that I had not seen since the 2019 regional event over in Melbourne, where we had the last big event here in Central Florida. It was great to see a lot of people from Space Coast that had come up here to come play, and just speaking with them after the event, just had a chance to catch up with them. A lot of the players over there had basically their X-Wing scene kind of disappear over time since COVID, and they don't have like stores that in the area that they can actually run events like this, or have enough people that would come in to do an event like this. And I think that now more than ever, we need as an X-Wing community, this is this is the types of events that we need to have. If we, whether it be here or in any other state, if you're looking to try to set up events to revive the community, reach out to some of the bigger podcasts, try to communicate with all their like smaller like teams from different places, and get together, hold these events. I could tell you, while we were playing, there was a slew of people coming in. They would stop, they would take a look at X-Wing, and they were like interested in the game. They were looking at it, asking questions, how does this play? And we're generating interest from people that have never seen X-Wing before, and they were interested in the game because we were having fun. And if we display that as a group, as a community, showing that we're having fun gathering as a group like this, the game is going to grow again, and we're going to have a lot of fun down the line.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing here, right? Is if we don't work towards continuing to grow in person X-Wing, like I love online X-Wing, don't get me wrong, but being able to put ships on the table again is just so much. It's so much more fun, and the challenge of being able to arc shooting, the arc shoots, and not hitting obstacles because you're not as accurate as you are in TTS. It's so much more fun. So, well, thank you, Jorge, so much for joining us. I do want to kind of transition into, there was a local Michigan tournament as well this weekend. I did not attend it, out of respect for our group's X-Wing tournament, but there was a secondary tournament that happened over at Eternal Games. And I don't know, are you going to come up? Maybe it's going to come up. Maybe it won't. There it goes. All right. So they had a 12-person tournament, and I'm not going to go through a lot of the different lists. I just thought it would be fun to kind of highlight it. They did have some prize support there as well. If you live in Michigan, as a group, we are working. Ryan Staniszewski from GSP has been working on trying to get all of them in some sort of a calendar, so that everybody knows. And the goal is to try to put 2 semi-tournament style events in Michigan every month. That way people will have time to practice. It'll get you ready to go to some of the major events that are coming up here in the next 2 to 3 months. So the reason I wanted to go through a couple of lists here real quick is because I've never seen this Rebel list ran at all. And so maybe somebody wants JJ, you can read it, and then we can kind of break it down and talk through some of that and kind of go from there, because it seems like a pretty unique list that I've not heard of before.
So wow, Sean, yeah, nice. So Sean Sweeney running this particular Rebel list. It is Dutch Vander with Tirfon Belly Run, Dorsal Turret, Ion Torpedoes, Concussion Missiles, and Munitions Failsafe. Horton Psalm with Selfless, Dorsal Turret, Ion Torpedoes, Concussion Missiles, and Munitions Failsafe. Colby Sperado with Elusive R4 FTC. Saul Guerrera with Notorious, K2SO, Ursa Ren, and False Transponder Codes. And then Iron Kraken with Elusive and Plasma Torpedoes. Very interesting list. Yeah.
All right. So break it down, guys. I don't play Rebels, so this is all like foreign to me. Like, I get Colby. I understand what Colby does. And I get Krakens there at an I-5 to try to strip shields and then give an action to somebody else. But I don't get why we would take the rest of this list and why he was the only 3-0 player this weekend.
Well, right now, just looking at it, it seems like it's just taking a lot of Rebel, what I call just good stuff, where it's good value ships that can seemingly fly in formation. So everyone just kind of sits in a ball, and they go off, they run for it, and there's not generally a great target for you to go after. Kraken's got Elusive, and he's probably going to be focusing every turn with help from Dutch to get those plasma torpedoes going off. Horton already has free rerolls by himself with his pilot ability. Dutch is providing locks. You've got Saw Gerrera out there with Notorious, K2, and Ursa. That is not a ship you want to be shooting at early on. Horton's got Selfless, so he's going to be drawing fire. And then I see in this list, I don't know how Sean flies this, but it would seem to me that the rest of the list flies in itself, and then Colby is kind of off on the other flank, just as a threat that you can't ignore, just in case you put your entire forces into a single. You put all of your forces into a single box, and the opponent puts all of their forces towards that. You at least have some kind of flanking ship. Colby has that, focus into boost that it can do reliably every turn, thanks to his pilot ability. So for me, it's just looking at this is going to be a very hard hitting rebel list. It may not put up a lot of defense. Those Y-Wings do seem like they would fall early because there's nothing else around them to protect them. I mean, Kraken's going to have his action to hand out some extra stuff. So I could see maybe giving a focus token to Dutch or something to protect themselves. Otherwise, I don't see why this would stand out among other rebel lists. It's just there are a lot of munitions, a lot of 3-die attacks. But at the end of the day, there's a pair of Y-Wings in there, and if you focus on those could quickly go down.
So I think the one sleeper tech that we have on here is Selfless on Horton Psalm. So this kind of leans into an old rebel archetype where you're able to share damage across the list, and that works very, very well with Saw Gerrera. So if you're typically in this particular list, you would put Saw as your front runner because you want to make sure that he absorbs the shots. Horton, as long as he's long in that firing arc, he can absorb 1 crit onto a ship to help keep Saul's health, kind of high enough to the point where he can lose a hull, and then he has his own passive mods and also give out a Notorious Strain to help the rest of the list pounce on that particular target there. Now, Saul's ability basically gives a reroll to his friendlies at range 2, or up to range 2, that if they're damaged, meaning they have a hull damage on their ship, they get a passive mod for rerolls on offense for this thing. So this is basically an enduring type list. It has a lot of health that if you start punching into it and you don't eliminate a ship immediately, this is going to hit you back harder, because even if you jam it, it's going to have rerolls available to it, even if it doesn't have the munitions. Horton's ability does trigger whenever it has another friendly ship at close range, at range 1 of an enemy. So he'll have that reroll on top of whatever rerolls he may have through Saul. Iron Kraken can help at initiative 5 when he engages to provide either a target like a focus for a ship that's at initiative 4 that may not have had that. So when he engages, if he hits or after he does his attack, he can actually trigger that target lock for Dutch at that point, which will open up the rest of the other ships that have ordnance to shoot at initiative 4. Now that that would have that target in that arc, or at least in range, that they didn't have previously before it at that time. So it's I can definitely see how he was trying to build that list. It's nice.
Yeah, and I think the big thing, right, with it is the extra rerolls, right? So we talk about the Lat Hound. This list provides rerolls for fucking days. Horton gets them based on who's close. Saw gets to basically say anybody that's damaged gets rerolls. So it's kind of like a fire control system to some extent once you become damaged. So
yeah.
And then with Ursa Wren doing Ursa Wren things, crazy. So anyway, I'm not. We're not going to go through all the lists in this tournament because it really, a lot of them are the same. But I just felt this list was unique enough, and yes, Sean's a friend of mine, so or at least I think he's a friend of mine. He may not consider me a friend, but he's one of my locals, and I was very excited to actually see him use this list because I've watched him play it at the locals, and just kind of oh, that's kind of a weird, crazy, insane list, and to see him actually take it to a 3-0 is pretty cool. I really think that's a pretty cool thing. So
I am interested in the next list, and Peter Rose. I actually played him in Kyber. He was one of my losses. I see a bunch of Black Squadron Ace TIE fighters on the list. Like I don't think I've seen that in 2.5 as of yet.
It's that discipline piece. That's why.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
for 2
That's
points,
really
you can take
interesting.
discipline. Everybody gets target locks. I don't know.
So 2 Reapers and then 4 Black Squadrons. No, 5 Black Squadrons and Womp on top of that. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an 8-ship list there, folks, in Empire. That's what eats Seppies. There you go.
Oh yeah, all day.
Gar Saxon. Oh yes, what a beautiful card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this list too. I've seen this list played as well on stream. So
Nice.
all right, let's talk XCC. And I should probably go all the way back at the top. So Team Austria was able to have a week off, and Crispy, you're on vacation this week, so now I have no idea what the hell's going on because you're on vacation. You somehow have to play this week. JJ may have to play. We don't know. Maybe JJ will fill in for you this week.
We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We have subs for a reason. And so right now, I mean, we haven't determined our matchups yet. I would like to play because that's kind of why I signed up, but I'm perfectly fine letting either of our fine substitutes take my place. I mean, we are going up against Pirates, so we need every win we can get. Unfortunately, we did lose our first week. That was
Tough
pretty
loss.
rough. That was a tough loss. I'm not
That was
gonna
tough
lie. We were, I think, kind of expected by the community to win that, and this is, I think, the agreed upon pot of death. So losing something early does hurt our chances of making it out of the group stage. But I am still confident in our team. We are looking very, very strong going into this Pirates team. And as long as we're firing on all cylinders and we get a good matchup here, we should be all right. Hopefully we don't have to bust, that many people. I think busting just one player should be good enough. Otherwise, we're all right.
So, quick question for XC, especially for those who are not part of the XCC piece here, right? So how many wins do you need to be guaranteed to move on? Is it 2 or is it 3?
I believe it's 3 to guarantee.
Okay. So the Philippines is set. My assumption is the Philippines will be playing England this week.
That is correct. I believe France is on a bye.
Yep, because France
Yeah,
has
that's
the
right.
most losses. So my assumption is they get the bye this week. So Team Austria, you have to take it out for the Pirates. You have to. You cannot slack this week because coming back from 2 losses and having to win 3, we all know the statistics, and I don't know where. I see Greg in the chat. Maybe Greg wants to tell me the statistics of how many baseball games do you get when you go down 2 games in the beginning of the series, actually come back to win, or hockey, I guess. Both are really the same. I'm pretty sure that probability is pretty low. So,
Yeah, we definitely have a tough matchup this week. Team Pirates has definitely a solid group of players over there. Actually, Andrew Pym is actually one of their players on their team over there. But we also have to contend with a lot of good lists on their end that they've had so far, and we'll see what the matchups will be. We'll actually schedule to do our matchups tomorrow afternoon, our time, with Team Pirates. So we'll get to see what the matchups are going to look like for this week's line.
all right. In Group A, it looks like Spain is in the lead with 2 wins. The Czech Republic has a win-loss. Wales and Malaysia tied somehow. How is that going to work? Right? Like, that's crazy to me.
A tie is a tie.
Yeah, I don't know how or why ties would exist here, because they kind of affect you even more negatively, I think, than a loss. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how that plays out at the end.
Okay, because to me that just seems crazy. Here. So South Africa is still in it, but Malaysia is basically in that France category there with a loss and a tie.
Yeah. And Greg reporting that Wales did win earlier today on his stream right before we aired. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, in Group B, Germany. See, this one must not have all the stuff reported in here.
Slowly, they'll slowly get it.
Yeah, because they have 12 points, 12 and 18. I don't know. I think this one is not complete. Group B is not complete yet. So, next we have Group C. USA solidly on top again with 2 wins. Canada with 1. I'm guessing this week Canada is going to be paired with either Hungary or the USA.
I think they're paired with Team USA this week.
Canada is against US this week.
All right, so good. We get to see which America is the better America in this group.
Which North Americans are better than? Yeah.
I don't consider North Americans. I consider Canada like the upper Americans. There you go. So that's going to be an interesting. That'll be an interesting matchup. And if anybody wants to tell them, they can happily let me know. I'll happily stream any and every Team USA versus Canada stream just because of the competitive piece of it. And George, you're welcome to come commentate with me this week because JJ never wants to do it. So if your work schedule works out better and you want to come commentate with me this week, you're welcome to. We could talk trash about Canada and the USA. That's what I say.
I don't know.
All right, the last group, which this one is Ireland and Norway on top with double wins all around. That seems pretty good to me, right there.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming Ireland is, and it says all Ireland, which is hilarious. Ireland and Norway are playing each other, I'm assuming, this week. Is that correct?
I believe so. I think they have been paired. Yeah.
Okay. So, you know what? I'm going to go right now to the stream sheet because I believe there was an Ireland game. I'm going to have to figure out how to take my lunch at 2:00 on Thursday so that I can stream some of the games. Like, I think I'm just going to... Maybe I'll live in the 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. world for work this week and then be able to stream their games.
Yeah, that's right.
The Sandy. Yeah, Sandy, I'm your next NCX match. We haven't committed to a time. We're probably doing it Wednesday. If Greg doesn't air, then JJ's going to air our game, which he doesn't know about, but he just signed up for. So,
yeah. Thanks. Appreciate
it. So, all right. All right, folks. So I think with the XCC thing, I think it's very interesting. I'm very excited to see it go down, hopefully this week. And if you play an XCC, can you encourage your teammates to please put your bloody things in the schedule? We like to stream a lot of the time, except for, in fairness, we don't probably like to stream on... I couldn't stream Saturday against my own stream. Like, I just couldn't compete with Dion because we were hosting a Showdown, so I couldn't take any games on Saturday because I didn't want to compete with Dion and take viewers away from him streaming our tournament this weekend. So, but with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap up for the night. Any last words, George, on your amazing victory over everybody else, just crushing them with that CIS list?
Really just thank JJ for kind of being in charge of all of that and handling a great event. Everything went smoothly. All the rounds just played out smoothly. I got to thank my team, of course, Spirited Squadron, for helping me out again, practicing, doing what we do every Wednesday night. And if you're not already a part and you're of the group and you are living in the local Orlando area, then join our Orlando X-Wing group on Facebook. That way you can stay in touch with us, be a part of our community, and share all the great news.
Crispy?
It's along the-
Yeah. I'm very happy for you, George. Congrats. You deserve it for all the work that you've put in at the store. I mean, we all appreciate you. You've been our TO there for quite some time, and to see you play and get the recognition you deserve because you are a hell of a pilot. It's very nice. It was unfortunate that I was not there. I did ask my parents if I could either join them late in the vacation just so I would be able to show up. I am very disappointed that not a single First Order list showed up.
Yes.
Even though I have showed the world that the First Order is probably the strongest faction right now, just in terms of what we've got. Not a single First Order list.
To be fair, you probably bought up all the First Order stock, and that's why nobody was able to bring it.
No.
And yeah, I mean,
I did take a look at the stock. There's not a lot left, that's for sure.
he's probably sitting on like 6 whispers in this case. Like nobody's gonna play this.
It's for resale. That's how he's funding his. That's how he's funding his vacation.
Adepticon, I won a whole bunch of like TIE fighters and raffles, so I just have like a bunch of like TIE foes in unopened boxes that I've never used because I already have like 7. So I mean, I will make a throne of my boxes and I will take a picture of that. But in the meantime, I've got nothing to say. I'm just focused on NCX and XTC right now, and I'll see if I can even get those matches in with, messing around with family that I haven't seen in a while, and now I'm in a different time zone, and the Wi-Fi here is at least somewhat stable. So there's that. But otherwise, I'm just happy to be here. Love to see you guys.
Awesome. JJ, last thoughts, beliefs.
Once
Are you
again,
gonna ever do this again?
I definitely want to do this again. This was a hell of an experience. I definitely am so grateful that I've been able to see a lot of people again. Big shout out to Carlos Ramirez, the original Florida man. And he just seeing him again after years and years. It was great to see him back in the game. There were so many people that had not played since right before the pandemic, and they're coming back in and they're seeing this game with fresh eyes, getting introduced to scenarios, and just hearing their positivity, like enjoying the game, and just enjoying the new fresh content for it. Sure, the game still needs a lot of work. There's no doubt about that, but it's still great to see people that I used to play with competitively come back into the game, and it just makes it all worth it in the end. The end of the day, just seeing everybody come back and just having a great time.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. It was great hosting it. I don't know if I agree with JJ on the once a year thing. Maybe we'll try to do it twice a year as a Planning Phase Showdown. I guess officially next year it's going to be, or the next one we have is going to be in Michigan. So hopefully JJ and Charles can make it up here for that as well. I do know I'm planning on going to Adepticon this year, whether I get my Worlds ticket or not. And I just might play in our Armada tournament if I can't get into the X-Wing tournament. So
you're saying that we might have to start covering a little bit of Armada on the podcast too?
We might. I've been playing Armada. Like I actually like Armada for the concept piece of it better than X-Wing to some extent. I know that's like kind of heresy to say on an X-Wing podcast, but the like when X-Wing, and this is why I was not really opposed when X-Wing switched to objectives and scenario play, is because like that's what I learned about in Armada, and I like the shoot first, move second theory behind Armada. Like I really like that, and I love the scenario piece. So I've actually been playing some Rebellion campaign in Armada with a couple of friends, and my buddy who's never ever competitively or really played anything is actually joining us, and he's like, I'm trying to sucker him into playing X-Wing next. So that's kind of like on my docket of things. It's like, hey, you're single, you like this, I'm really excited, I'm hoping that you can join me in X-Wing at some point as well. But he really likes the Armada fleet piece of this whole thing. So I don't know, I do like Armada. We will not dedicate the show to do Armada because I am not going to spend money. That's the one tenet of Armada is if you don't own it, I'm not playing it. That's it. But my buddy owns, I don't know, everything. So like he owns 2 of everything for every faction at minimum. And some things he owns like Rebels and Empire. He owns like, I don't know, tons of stuff for it. So
Hey,
like,
I mean, if they're willing, I mean, it'll be fun to do like a whole Rebellion in the Rim campaign. That'd be,
that's what we're doing right now, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we could do it over TTS. It'd be great.
I've tried to keep up with Armada. I bought an interdictor off a buddy of mine for like $15 just so I have a 400-point list. Although I do play online with some friends. So if you guys are interested in Armada players, I might be able to sneak in there just because I want to get, like, I am interested. I do love the big, capital pieces. I just think the interdictor is a really, really cool ship.
Oh, yeah.
I love the design of it and I love the looks of it. So
I
now that
know-
I'm able to snatch it and put it on the table, I'm
I
actually
know-
more interested in Armada.
Ben Shoop is actually a big Armada player,
Really?
and
Nice.
part of Bearded. So
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think he plays or tries to get something going on Friday nights. So I don't know.
I have
Yeah,
like a single Armada list. So if I'm showing up, it's that list.
Nice.
Yeah, the real reason I liked Armada though was because I got to play Thrawn. That was why.
Oh,
like that was it.
yes.
That was just so you know, like when somebody goes, "Hey, do you want to learn how to play Armada?" It's like, not really. And it's like, there's Thrawn in it. Yes. Okay. Sold. And you can ask JJ. JJ built me a Thrawn list that wiped the I wiped the table with it, and I've only played 4 games in my whole life. So.
Yes.
All right. So cool. Well, thank you. Next week, I don't know if there's any tournaments this week. Yes, next
GSP.
week we will be covering the GSP tournament. JJ, are you playing in that next weekend?
I am tentatively, yes. More than likely, I will be playing that tournament. Probably using Charles's list that he played on stream. That will be what I'm going to be running. I don't know about you. What about you?
I don't know. I don't like getting up at 4 a.m. to play X-Wing. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
That's the best time, man.
No,
Sorry.
it's not. You people in your early rise. I'm not an early riser.
I'm
man.
not a early riser either, man. I just don't sleep.
Yeah, I don't. You know when I normally go to bed? So last night I went to bed at 3. Friday night I went to bed at 2. So just saying, I'll get 2 to 1 hours of sleep and then have to get up and play 8 to 10 hours of X-Wing. I don't know.
You're a young man. You can do it. Come on.
I do. I am interested in playing for the pure fact that it is a lower turnout event so far. So not that. So A, it'll be less rounds if there's really that many less people, and B, I don't have to play CIS. I actually been thinking about playing a different faction, as well, just because I think it would be fun to branch out in this, and I don't have anything in the morning to do, so.
Which one is that? Is it Resistance?
No, it's not Resist. It's Scum.
Oh, okay.
We got to get George to get play TTS online, man. Join us.
Yeah, hey,
you kill
George, you could join us. We'll happily host you versus JJ games every week if you want.
Yeah, I have to get a couple practice games before I play competitively on TTS for sure.
Yeah, well, hey, if we design enough cards, there you go, like enough different abilities, we can have a planning phase syndicate weird ass like tournament playoff. Like, I don't know, maybe that would be fun. Maybe we should actually do that, JJ. That's something we've been talking about. That we did that with a pilot ability, didn't we? Like 6 months ago, I think when you first joined the podcast.
I remember.
We did something weird, and I had a whole forum. God damn it, I should go find that.
We got to go through the archives. Yeah, we
Yeah.
got to look through it. Yeah.
But we had thought about doing that where people design their own pilots and different things you want to see in the game based on a ship. You can't design a new ship, but you could design a pilot for a ship. And we did that like 6 months ago. I should go clip that. That was a fun segment. We should do that again. And I could get cards built. I can get them made. So, all right. So, thank you all for joining us. What we are gonna do though is we're gonna not sign off, but we're gonna let anybody that wants to drop. JJ and I are going to do a universe extended episode in about 5 to 6 minutes once I use the restroom and get some more water. We are going to be talking about the Thrawn series, book series. So if you have not read it, but you want to know more about Thrawn and why Tanner loves Thrawn more than every other Star Wars character that's ever existed in the whole world, join us in our new Universe 6 Extended series, Thrawn the Books. Which trilogy will they vomit out of their mouth first? With that being said, thank you, George. Thank you, Crispy, for joining us tonight. You're welcome to both stick around if you want to. If you know the Thrawn stuff, you're welcome to stick around. If not, we will be back next week, 9 p.m. Eastern, with our regularly scheduled broadcast right here, talking about the GSP qualifier, breaking that down, as well as I want to have a discussion about bluffing and player interaction, because I think that's a unique, maybe a semi-unique piece to the game that I want to have a conversation about. Greg, to answer your question, it will be the first book series. So there's going to be the first series that we will be talking about tonight.
To be specific, the canon series, not Heir to the Empire and stuff like that. Unfortunately,
yeah, we're not doing the non-canon stuff.
Yeah.
Though that would be fun. But they've changed it enough that it's just, we can't do that. So,
yeah.
All right. Thank you all. We'll see you next week. Or if you want to hang out, we'll be back in about 5 minutes.